Om Jin Da. With the Sangha, Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo sadanto suchedoye alahudi sanmiao sanputoshe. Wu shang shen shen wei miao fa, bai qian wan jie nan sao yu. Wo jin jian wan de shou chi, yan jie ru lai zhen shi yi. The unsurpassed, deep, profound, subtle, wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million eons is difficult to encounter. Now that I've come to receive and hold it within my sight and hearing, I bow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual meaning. Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture. This is the 20th of July. It's a Saturday evening here in Berkeley, California, and we're going to look into the Flower Garland Sutra, the fifth ground. And please join me now to invoke the presence of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. It's there on the front cover of your text. Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yen Jin Hua Yen Hai Hui Bo Pu Sa Na Da Fang Guang Fo Yen Jin Hua Yen Hai Hui Bo Pu Sa Na Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yen Jin Hua Yen Hai Hui Bo Pu Sa Na Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yen Jin Hua Yen Hai Hui Bo Pu Sa Na Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yen Jin Hua Yen Hai Hui Bo Pu Sa Na Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yen Jin Hua Yen Hai Hui Bo Pu Sa Na Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yen Jin Hua Yen Hai Hui Bo Pu Sa. Please turn to page 30 and 31 in your texts. People who are joining us online, welcome. And you can find the chapter that we're lecturing from on berkeleymonastery.org. You should find the text there. A large number of people here present tonight just rolled down out of the Oregon mountains, and in fact, many of us here tonight were started out this morning up in Oregon, and a large portion of our regulars are at City of 10,000 Buddhists tonight because of the Guanyin Bodhisattva recitation session that's beginning tonight. So, interesting confluence of people, all circling around the Buddha Dharma. We're down at the bottom, and it's the last paragraph. Oh, I believe we're in the second paragraph from the bottom. Is that right? Did we lecture on that first? Okay, so it is the last one. Okay, someone's paying attention. Good. All right, we're down at the bottom. I'm going to put my palms together, and this is, let's see here. We do have, let's not try to chant it because it's in different lengths. So I'll just give you the line and you give it back. Here we go. 大海久远今始动 佛光久远今乃放 众生久远始安乐 大悲音声久乃温 Okay, can we read together in unison? On the right, the great sea begins to move at last. The Buddha's light at long last starts to shine. Living beings at last can know peace, and we hear at long last the sounds of great compassion. Okay. The situation is a bodhisattva is actually, I believe there's a narrator telling the story. His name is Treasury of Vajra, Treasury of adamantine substance. He's speaking, and he's talking about something that was said by goddesses, by Devi, by the feminine of Deva, dwellers in the heavens, who are so happy that the Buddha is about to explain the fifth ground, that they are doing what devas do best. They're making offerings. In this case, last time we heard about the deva who was jumping for joy, and they're sending forth lights as offerings. Imagine, just to release some sort of light. We know fireworks, right? When you pop, 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 and beautiful things happen in the sky. Imagine if it wasn't gunpowder popping off, it was something released from the palm of your hand or from between your eyebrows. Further, it specifies that Devis, female goddesses, are playing music from the heavens. Wonderful music. Music that we don't get to hear on earth. Maybe the scales are different, maybe the intervals are different. The instruments are probably different. And they're praising the Buddha. And then our speaker tells us what they sang, how they praised him. And notice the stanza above and the stanza below all have, each line has two words. Let's see, Jin, Zhou Jin Nai. Let's see, Zhou Jin Nai. Combinations of Zhou Jin Nai, verb. Zhou means long time, meaning duration. Yuan means long distant, far. So Jiu yuan means long time coming, from a long ways away, both. Jin nai, now, finally, only now, and then the verb. In the first case, it's the Buddha's vows. This is, I'm above, I'm on line, start at the bottom, line 4 from the bottom. The Buddha's vows, finally now, come full. Over to the right, Fo Dao, the Buddha's path, only now is realized, is gotten, is obtained. Shakyamuni Buddha has come to our palace to, let's see, Li Tian Ren Zhe, the one who benefits devas and humans, now, only now, is seen. Can we see him? So this is, we're hearing this long-held wish now realized. Okay, tonight's verses have the same structure. It's Dahai, the big ocean, the sea, this ocean of what? Wisdom. Zhou Yuan, Jin, for a very long time coming, now begins to dong, to move, but meaning to start to dispense that wisdom. The wisdom is now starting to flow. Fo Guang, Buddha's light, long time in developing, now is shining. Fang, to release. Zhongsheng, sentient beings, Zhou Yuan, long time waiting, finally begin to know peace and happiness. Da Bei Yin Sheng, the sound of great compassion, long time we've been waiting, now is heard. We can hear it now. So all of these verses express longing, now satisfied. We wanted it for a long time, and now it's happening. And what is implied, these are all praises of the Buddha, right? What is it? Vows, ocean of wisdom, light, peace and joy, sounds of compassion, things that beings want for a very long time. And what it says, it also talks about how long it takes to cultivate. That's kind of a, how do you say that? It's not something you tell beginners. Oh, you want to come and meditate? Why do you want to meditate? I want to become a Buddha. Good. Come and meditate. Work really hard. How long will it take? 3 great Asankhya eons. Oh, good. What's an Asankhya? No problem. I got time. So it's uncountable. 3 great uncountable eons of birth and death on the Buddha's path until that last bit of ignorance is cleared away from your wisdom mirror and it changes from darkness to light. That last little bit. And if that sounds like a long time, here's Erstor Bodhisattva over here, who was a 10th stage bodhisattva who gets to that place where he could finally make it, right? Jiu Nai, finally, now at last. And he goes, no, I'm going back to the hells. No rush. I'm in no hurry. There's too much suffering going on. If I become a Buddha, who's going to save him? All right, it's all right. You go first. So it's longer still, So one lesson is, when you get to the Mahayana, it's just let the time go. Let the time go. Yet that being said, there are some markers in the path. One is certainly when you first make the Bodhi resolve, the Putishin, they say that that's the real beginning of the path, and of the Bodhisattva path for sure. And everything before that is kind of preparation, and everything after you say, my actual goal that I realize is possible is complete wisdom, nothing less, and great compassion, the function of wisdom. I can do that. That's my birthright by being here in a body, and further being able to see the Buddha, meet the Dharma, and cultivate alongside of the Sangha. When you see that, things are different. They say there's another marker, though, which is that stage called irreversibility. Sanskrit is avaivartika. Is always not or no. No turning back. Happens between the 7th and the 8th ground. And at that point, they say, I tell you this story all the time. If anybody wants to read it themselves, go to our translation of the 10 grounds chapter and get the 7th and the 8th ground. And it says, from that first resolve all the way to the 7th ground and everything in between is like walking through the woods with a canoe on your back, or a rowboat, or a sailboat, like sailboat on your back. And you're tripping over the roots and, like up the hills and over the dales and down the valleys and slow going, sweaty going, hard work. When you get to the 7th and 8th ground, to that stage of no further retreat, it's like coming out of the woods. Here's this lake. You tip the boat over into the water, raise the sail, a breeze comes up and it's smooth sailing at that point. From there to the 10th stage to equal enlightenment, dangjie, and wonderful enlightenment, miaojie, they say is assured, just a matter of time. Whoosh, very smooth sailing. So there are markers, and so that last section is no effort is wasted. Now, it's not that there's nothing more to learn. The 8th, 9th, and 10th stage are full of teachings, but it's your vessel is already formed at that point. So there are some markers, and yet the Zhouyuan here, long time formed. And this is on the part of the Devas who are saying, we've been waiting. Now you're here, finally. The Buddha's here, he's shown up. Great. The Dharma is ready to teach us how to make our family hurt less. Wake up. Okay, turn to page 32 and 33. These here are three stanzas of 3 sets of 2 lines each, 6 lines in a group. Here we go. 功德彼岸皆已到，骄慢黑暗皆已灭。罪极清净汝虚空，不然世法有莲华。大摩尼尊现于世，譬如须弥出巨海。He reached the other shore of merit and virtue. He destroyed the darkness of conceit and pride. He is pure to the utmost, just like space. He's undefiled by worldly things, like a lotus blossom. The great honored Muni appears in the world, the way Mount Sumeru rises up from the vast ocean. We're hearing God's praises. These are terrific praises. We've just been traveling through rural America. Even though it's coastal Oregon, it might as well be, in terms of culture, it could very easily be the Ozarks, or it could be North Carolina, Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It's largely a Christian world, and a lot of the things that happen tomorrow, Sunday, which is the day, are praise. Praise is going on, praise of God. And we've just been intensely talking about Buddhism for the last 7 days, and having a gathering twice a day. It was 60 people sitting around talking about Buddhism in relationship to what we already know and what we'd like to learn. And very satisfying to get everybody sitting together and thinking together and talking together. And I and Doug Powers and Fabrizio and Matt, our elder, and Pip Cole, who live up in Oregon, are of the group that were there, among others, are aware of the mainstream way of doing religion in this country and how Buddhism is, the practices of Buddhism are new and fresh. And some places they overlap and complement, and other places they are very different and not to say in conflict, but distinctly different. And yet they're fascinating places where the intent is the same, the delivery is different. One of those places where the intent is the same, but the delivery is different, is in praise. Praises, just like these. Here are the Devas praising the Buddha. Look what they say. The Buddha reached the other shore of merit and virtue. Gong de bi an jie yi dao. This is Buddhist shop talk. This is jargon, right? This is our own in-group language. The other shore of merit and virtue, what would that mean? Goodness. It means the Buddha has already realized, he has uncovered all of the things that cover over his nature. His ignorance is gone now. And he's gone from this shore of birth and death across the river of affliction to the other shore where birth and death ends. And his merit and virtue is shining now of his own nature. Furthermore, the darkness of pride is completely wiped away. That's self gone wrong. Self extended way bigger than its boundaries to a place where arrogance looks down on others. You see yourself in terms of others and they're all inferior. That's, from the Buddhist point of view, a mental illness. That's the mind used wrong. You destroy the darkness of conceit and pride. Further, pure to the utmost, just like space. Imagine praising somebody and saying, wow, you're so cool, you're just like space. You know, and they go, groovy, dude. You know, it's like, did you get stuck in the 60s? You know, what are you smoking? So, but that's what it says, isn't it? It means that the Buddha is, the Chinese goes like this, 最极清净, extreme, pure to the extreme, meaning self, emotion, love and hate, affliction, points of view, attachments, all of the things that from the Buddhist point of view are impediments to the mind are now just washed. They're washed clean. The only thing that's left is the Buddha nature, which is often used, the analogy used to describe it is just like space. And space, it doesn't mean outer space. It doesn't mean the space between things, like how much space is left. Well, we crammed the car full already. There's no more room, no more space. It's not a relational, linear space. It means probably the closest thing to translate it would be like the air. The Buddha is extremely pure, just like the air. But we also don't want to think about air meaning hydrogen, oxygen, helium, you know, and then you go out to the ionosphere and it's thinner and there's no oxygen, and then the outer space. It's not that way. It means everything that surrounds form and everything that penetrates form. So it's extremely pure. There's nowhere that Shukong is not. That space, that emptiness, that air is everywhere. It's even in the cells, in the tiniest places. And that's the Buddha's purity. It's a term that's used to describe the Dharma body also. Luckily, we're not in the Dharma body section. I used to lecture down at Gold Sage, and we had a text that one chapter was called 分别三身品, the discriminations of the Buddha's three bodies. And while, you know, I enjoy lecturing on sutras, every time I went down there, I was kind of sweating a little bit because it was hard. It's hard to explain. And I would prepare and go Heng's car driving down there, and I'd take notes and get my dictionary and look it up and think, man, how am I going to do this? There, and I would present my ideas, and that audience is full of old-time disciples and Silicon Valley engineers, and there's a couple hotshots who have studied Buddhism in the Tibetan tradition, and no matter how hard I worked, I would always present it, and they would go, Dharma Master, sure, actually the commentary from Lama Tsongkhapa says, and I go, okay, we're back home. I know this sound. All right, what does he say? No, he said actually, and then somebody else said, no, that's not right. That's not right. And this is the ability to motivate that group is a result of hard work. Because for the first 2 years I did that, it was always like, okay, who has an idea? Everybody's going, don't call on me, please. Call on him. And they didn't want to talk. And I would harangue them and, laugh and try to get everybody thinking about what it was. And I did a good job, because now, man, I get shouted down. You're right. Please don't fight. That's good. We're thinking. So the Buddhist, discriminating among the Buddha's three bodies was really a challenge. And it stretched me. It was good in the end, because, wow, I would come out of those sessions thinking, we covered a lot of ground today. I didn't understand these ideas before. And I was pushed to the commentaries, because it's the grad school of Buddha Dharma. Right? It's the MA and PhD level of the Buddha's accomplishment. It's his, after Buddhahood, the three bodies start to function. And what's the difference? Sometimes they call it reward body, other times they call it retribution body. What's the difference between the reward body and the retribution body? Please explain it. Well, none. And yet it has these 32 hallmarks. Okay, but what's between those and the response body? What's the difference between the response body and the reward body and the retribution? Oh, that's interesting. Well, the response body functions in infinite ways, as many living beings as there are to teach. That's how many response bodies come out. How does that work, Dharma Master? Well, it's like you think of a file on your computer. How many copies can you make? Oh, probably a lot. You just keep hitting the D, duplicate, on the apple. Something like that. It's like similar. Oh, I don't get it. How does it work? Oh, well, let me see now. And it's on and on. It's really fun. And it's the other thing, as you explain it, is to say, this is not science fiction. This is not speculation. This is fact at a level that we ordinarily can't see, because it's the Buddha's state. This is the state of the Buddha. And one way to approach this is to say, baloney, I don't believe any of it. And you can say that for sure, because there's no, quote, proof other than the Buddha's word. But what's the point of that? Why did you come up the hill to listen to the Dharma, if you're going to if you just came to dismiss it and be right, be confirmed in your critique. And the other way to go, and you've all heard me say this, and I think it works, is to say, one of the premises of this Dharma is that the Buddha's state goes beyond our state. The state of wisdom arises from my consciousness, your consciousness, but it is not identical with that consciousness, any more than if you say, here is a slice of bread that I made myself. This bread, when it's still warm and you put butter on it or soy margarine on it, it's really delicious. And of course, it's spelt bread. It is gluten-free. And it's really delicious. And it comes from this flour, this water, this yeast, and this thyme. And if you have flour and water and yeast and thyme, to work on it, you don't have bread yet. But after you do all this, where's the bread come from? Exactly here. But you have to blop, 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 mix it. knead it, let it rise, and punch it down, and knead it, and let it rise, punch. Then you have to bake it. And you have to do it right temperature, make sure the pans don't stick. You can't eat it right away, you got to let it cool a little bit. Then you have bread, and it's delicious. And yet, the bread only came from those ingredients. So, consciousness is where the Buddha's wisdom comes from. To say it's the Buddha's wisdom, you haven't cooked it yet. You have to cultivate it. And then you get, so people go, okay, I kind of get that, So if you can accept that, then the Buddha's three bodies, we have a way to approach it. And if you explain it that way, it's not quite so far away. And it gives people who demand immediate proof a door so that they can be patient and look within to see how that could be. How could the Buddha's three bodies come from this, So the same way if you look at a diamond, you say, that was a plant. That was vegetable matter, right? However, there was a step in between, which is coal. Diamonds come from coal. But coal comes from plants, compressed over heat and time and pressure. And there in the earth, plants go to coal. Coal, compressed and heated just right, becomes a diamond. So if you look at a lump of coal, can you see the diamond in it? If you look at a diamond, can you see no, but you don't get a diamond without plants and coal. Organic matter that becomes mineral, and then it becomes precious stone. So, kind of like that. And that, at least that gives you a path, even though you don't get it right away. So, he is pure just like space. Further, we get another picture, which is what? 不然是法有莲花. He is not defiled by 是法, things of the world dharmas, 有莲花, just like a lotus flower. And as I've said before, I think I told the story. I never understood that. Why? Because growing up in Toledo, there weren't any lotuses. The only place to find lotuses in Toledo was on the menu at the local Chinese restaurant. There on the, it's called a lotus garden. You go in, there's a picture of a lotus, and one made of silk on the table with a light bulb in it. And that was as close as I got. So traveling with Master Hua in 1978 to Bangkok, we get out of the plane, get into a taxi, and we're driving from the Bangkok airport into town to the only Chinese Buddhist temple downtown. And riding along and feeling really groggy and kind of out of sorts because of the long delay at the airport and all, looking out the taxi window at the ditch beside the road from the airport to downtown, and realizing that at window level, I'm seeing these incredibly colored blossoms. At car window level, I'm sitting in the car like this, looking out the window, and here's this thing floating by. It's like, how did that get there? And then sitting up and looking out and realizing that there's this bloom, and there's this long, skinny stalk going right down into the gutter. And the gutter in the roadside from the Bangkok airport is full of garbage. Well, it was not cleaned up. This is before Bangkok became, tourist mecca. And the gutters were pretty, you didn't want to fall in one. And it was pretty dirty. And yet, here was this incredibly pure, colorful, red, yellow, purple, white lotus, pure and undefiled, with its roots right in the mud. And I go, now I get it. Aha, that's what I've been hearing, these Buddhist metaphors about the Bodhisattva, who lives right with us, and yet his mind and his six senses are not dirty in the least, not stained, right? Rooted in the mud, the blossom is pure. And there it was in front of my eyes. It was like, oh, I get it. Oh, cool. That's where here's where lotuses live. here in Thailand and Vietnam and Hong Kong and places where the temperature allows them to flourish. So, undefiled by worldly things, like a lotus bloom. The great honored Muni appears in the world. Da Muni Zun. Now, Muni, that's Sanskrit. Mo-ni is the Chinese, and it's Mahamoni. Mahamoni is Shirjamoni, Shakya, same as Muni, sage. He's the great sage, the sage of the Shakya clan, Shakyamuni. Xian Yushi appears in the world, and the devas are going, yippee! Piru Shumi Chu Juhai, just like Mount Sumeru comes out of the deep ocean, the giant ocean, vast ocean. This is a bit of Buddhist geography where a world system is made up of Mount Sumeru, a sun and moon, the four continents, the oceans of fragrant water, and the iron ring mountains circling around. That's what the Buddhist geography tells us. And, by golly, we have an image for that from today's adventure. You go rolling down Highway 5 from Central Oregon, past Roseburg and past, what are the towns in Oregon where the fruit comes from? Medford, past Medford, past Grants Pass, Highway 5, and as you go up over the Siskiyou Summit, which I will photograph, I was going to show you in a few minutes, is 4,320 feet high. It's the highest pass on Highway 5. And you start going down, and it says, 5% grade, check your brakes, blah, blah, blah. You go down, and then looming up over the top, you see Mount Shasta for the first time. There's Mount Shasta. And I will tell you, not a lot of snow on Mount Shasta. Used to be, even in the summer, it was snow-capped. And it ain't. It has melted a bunch. And Native Americans have lots and lots of teachings about Mount Shasta. There it was, and it's like, it looms. It's really big, really, really big. Did you all know about the what do they call it? The hippy-dippy predictions that Mount Shasta is the center of lots and lots of spiritualist cults. It looms large in the teachings of many groups that are quite something. Like aliens coming out of space and landing there, and giving predictions and such. Anybody know any of those stories? Angela, what are some of the better ones? You just happen to have a microphone in your hand. All right.
I do, and I can tell you a short, funny story because I used to live in Mount Shasta.
You did? Oh,
yeah.
You're the perfect person.
Yeah. So one night I was driving late at night. There was a lot of snow on the road. It was very, very dark, no lights at all. And all of a sudden this person walks out in front of me, and I have to blink because it looks like Jesus.
It looked like Jesus.
It looked like
right,
Jesus.
A little louder here. This is getting good, so talk.
It looked like Jesus.
Uh-huh.
And there was this guy with dark brown hair and a long beard and long hair, and he was wearing this white robe with a rope around his waist and sandals. And apparently there is this religious cult that lives just outside of town, and they have gone back to basics. And the rumor was that he was the leader.
He was the leader.
And I almost ran over him.
Yeah, you almost did.
I did.
Uh-huh. Bless you, my child.
Yes. And there were lots of other stories. There are lots of crystals. Mount Shasta has very unique clouds that form over it that look like UFOs. They're called lenticular clouds.
Lenticular clouds. Today it was just blue sky. Yeah.
And there were some people that believed that if you were on the top of the mountain at the right time, you could be taken off.
Yes, you could travel from Mount Shasta's summit into space.
So today we were driving by Mount Shasta, and we were snapping pictures, and at one point there was a picture taken, and there was like a white spot up right above the center of the mountain. Yeah, so there's this spottish blur, and then we looked in like at the actual sky, and there was a cloud, and this other spot was never there. So the spot, it was something that may have just disappeared, but it actually wasn't there. And is there really a monastery on the mountain?
It was what? There are many. There's a really good group called Shasta Abbey, who we're related to, and they're right at the base. Yeah, they're quite good. And when you come out of the Chan Hall, you see Mount Shasta right there, and it's very inspiring because it's never the same twice. The clouds change it all the time. Yeah. So, did you have any interaction with the magically appearing sandaled man with a rope belt? And did he sell you any souvenirs?
No, he was just there, and then I stopped very suddenly because it was so dark, and he turned around, and I saw that he was okay, and he was okay, and he waved, and then he walked into the darkness.
Into the darkness, that's right. You sure there wasn't a halo or any kind of
No.
All right, well, yeah. Maybe he'd turned it off during the snowstorm in case it shorted out or something. Yeah, before or after the bottle of wine and the wafer, right? Yeah, we shouldn't be so snarky. They look at us and think we're stranger than they are. You should know that. So it doesn't do. It's just people are wonderful, and and I don't want to give the impression that somehow that we are laughing at other people's religious beliefs, because ours are certainly by many yardsticks. Ours are out there. So, but Mount Shasta is one of those places. There's another one closer to home, Mount Tamalpais. Mount Tam is considered to be a very sacred mountain. And there are people who know these legends say there are polar mountains on the planet that channel the energy. And if, I won't tell you who, maybe none of you know him, but there are those listening who do know him. There is a bhikkhu, a Theravada bhikkhu, who is much given to what he considers the secret teachings about the planet Earth, and he builds stupas everywhere. He's always trying to build these reliquaries, and he said there are certain points where if you build that reliquary there, it keeps the planet turning. Mount Tamalpais was one. He was thrilled to come here for the first time because he'd heard about it, and Mount Shasta is another one. They are sacred mountains in California. And Mount Diablo is no help at all. Mount Diablo is the other side. Devil Mountain, that's right. Diablo, it's right here. So, and I think Master Hua would say, oh, good. Meanwhile, the most sacred place on earth is your own mind. If you can find Jesus in that place, you have arrived. Or any prophet. If you look within, you will immediately connect to all the power points on the earth at once and off the earth. Probably he would say something like that. But the great honored, the way Mount Sumeru rises up from the vast ocean. Mount Sumeru figures in all of the Buddhist descriptions of universes, and it's not just one. It's not that there is one Mount Sumeru. It's wherever there's a world system, and we are in a world system, Mount Sumeru will be in the center of it. And it's it's such a figure of Buddhist geography, and it's tempting and tantalizing because I don't see Mount Sumeru, but the Buddha describes it as just the way things are. And Master Xuanzang, our pilgrim, the Tang Dynasty pilgrim, who is this world hero that so few people know about, and we should know about Master Xuanzang. He's the one who went to India to find the Dharma and spent 17 years learning Sanskrit at Nalanda University and mastered it, and came back to China over the Hindu Kush, over the world's tallest mountains, and the monks who were with him and the soldiers by the hundreds who were with him died en route or turned back, and he somehow made his way. Before he left, he had a dream in which Mount Sumeru figured importantly, right? He was, in order to go, he had to break the law, because the law was the Tang Shizong, Tang, who was the first emperor of Tang? Li Shimin, is Tang, not Tang Taizong. Who was the first? Tang Xuanzong was the first? Okay, the first one. He had just defeated the Chen emperor, who was all corrupt. And he had just established the Da Tang, the great Tang Empire. Until all of the other tribes and clans were subdued and pacified, nobody was supposed to leave China. That was the order, that was the rule. And so he had these military gateposts set up on all the passes, and the borders of China are rugged. You don't go anywhere except through the pass. And they were heavily fortified and guarded by these, military soldiers. And in order to leave, and Master Xuanzang was a young monk, and he had determined that he had to bring the Dharma to China, because the Dharma that was there was incomplete and often wrong. So we'd have a sutra but missing some chapters, and the chapters they had were riddled with mistakes or inconsistencies. So he said, this has been long enough, I've got to go to India. So he determined to leave, but he was going to have to, somehow break the law and slip by these guards. And he didn't know the way. And of the 100 monks who preceded him in this journey, who had also had the same idea, 2 had gone and returned. The others left their bones on the desert or in the ravines off the high mountains, because it was impossible journey. So he thought, what am I going to do? I've made a vow, I got to do it. How am I going to get there? How am I going to do it? And he had a dream. And in his dream, he saw this ocean, very still, but also very deep, fragrant. And he put out one foot, and a lotus flower rose out of the water, caught his foot. Another one, and lotus rose out of the water and caught his foot. And another one, same thing. And he took 7 steps, and he reached the peak of Mount Sumeru. And he knew he was standing on the peak of Mount Sumeru, and he could see India from the top of the mountain. And he woke up and was energized and said, that's a good sign. I'm supposed to do this. And he did. So he had many other wonderful signs, but that Mount Sumeru figured largely in his dream, and he identified it as Mount Sumeru. Now, do we see Mount Sumeru? Is there any map where you could find it? Well, in the sutras, but not... Yes, sir? There is. Okay, tell me. Yeah. Different. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because in this case, it's an expression of this chakra.
Mm-hmm. And when you look at there's often a map that accompanies the Avatamsaka, and Mount Sumeru is an inverted pyramid, right? With the peak at the bottom by the ocean, and then the summit is where the second of the 6 desire heaven gods live. Shakra, Devanam, Indra lives on the top of Mount Sumeru. The 4 heavenly kings, the 4 kings of heaven, live halfway up They're the ones who subdue all the demons and the goblins and the pishashas and the rakshasas and the other demons. They're halfway up Mount Sumeru. The top is the second level where Shakra lives, and above it is the third level, the Suyama heaven. Beyond sun and the moon, their bodies shine with light. So every world is made up this way. It's like, this is esoteric stuff, right? Because why? Can't prove it. However, so Roberto, you...
So what I'm hearing is that the cosmology, the Buddhist cosmology that I'm talking about, is the reversal of Sumeru in the sense that the non-physical world,
Mhm.
Tao and so on. Is that right?
For me to confirm it was probably meaningless because, you know, that's exactly right. So,
No, I mean, is that what is the tradition?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, that's good. But you got the souvenir. Did you get the T-shirt? So, no, and more esoteric than that is compare it to Mount Olympus, where what happens? The Titans fight with the gods on Mount Olympus for power. In Buddhist cosmology, the Asuras are always coming to fight with the Devas for power. And I would take it one step beyond the Hindus and say, wouldn't be a bit surprised to discover that comparative mythology would say the Greeks from the axial age, or whenever that was, were talking about something similar. Maybe because it's really there. Master Hua has one of his Chan verses that goes, Da Dao Xu Mi Xin Di Ping. When you knock over Mount Sumeru, the mind ground is flat. And Sumeru is considered to be pride. It's an analogy for pride. So if you can finally knock over your pride, you discover that there's the mind is everywhere. There's nowhere that it's not. So, yeah, I'm right with you. I would love it. But it comes back to a gee whiz. Why? Because until you wake up, it's hard to prove. So bring your depiction of Mount Sumeru. Let's take a look. You say you have 3 of them.
The black ones are not here. I haven't been tested.
Okay.
But I think that the metal one I have at home.
If you have to okay. If you have to, rent a U-Haul to get it here, don't worry. But it's tiny. Good. Okay. You think it's tiny. When you're asleep, it just wah, That's right. So yeah, that's called Wonderfully Tall Mountain, and so clearly it's a matter of scale. Wonderful. So this is the praise of the Buddha. He appears in the world the way Mount Sumeru rises from the vast oceans. Miao Gao, wonderfully tall mountain, wonderfully high, marvelously high. Next line. Gongyang neng jin yi qie ku, gongyang bi de zhu fo zhi, ci ying gong chu gong wu deng, shi gu huan xin gongyang fo. Notice the word offering appears in every line here. By making offerings to him, we can end all our suffering. By making offerings, we are certain to obtain the Buddha's wisdom. This place of one worthy of offerings is beyond compare. Therefore, with delight, we make offerings to the Buddha. That's the end of the Devis chanting. Don't you wish you could hear this in Sanskrit? This is a song that goddesses sing. We just chanted a goddess's, we recited a goddess's song. How wonderful. What do? They make offerings. They're the best at it. Here's one. There's another. We only have 2 here, but there are devas flying in this mural as well. Flying along. Devas have their lives are full of wonderful things. They have the best flowers, the best music, the best trees, the best robes and garments, and the best food, so they give it to the Buddha in great style. By making offerings, we can end suffering. We can go beyond being devas. If we make offerings, we too can get the Buddha's wisdom. Further, that the place of the one worthy of offerings, the worthy of offerings is the title of the Buddha. So Ying Gong is Arhat. The place of the Arhat is Wudang, has no, it is beyond compare. Therefore, with a happy mind, we make offerings to the Buddha. That almost sounds like a refrain. Okay. Good. Now, back to narration, back to the story. The story moves forward. 如是无量诸天女发此言辞称赞已，一切恭敬喜充满，瞻仰如来默然入。 When the limitless heavenly maidens had uttered these sounds and words of praise in that way, they were all filled with happiness. They gazed in veneration at thus come one, and then fell silent. Okay, our story progresses, and the devis have done their turn. They've had this wonderful moment in the spotlight. All the bodhisattvas are gathered around, and the transformation body Buddhas are all there, and all of the spirits and the bodhisattvas of all descriptions. And it's time for the devis to come, and they, wow, with a flourish, they make their offerings, sing their praises, and it's got to be done in great style, don't you know? Great show when they do it. And then they sit down. They're very happy. They sit and they gaze up at the Buddha, the Tathagata, and then they fall silent and wait for his response. So, if I could illustrate, I would love to be an illustrator. And just imagine that, how you design the panel to have the devas swooping in and making their offerings. And now I guess we can do it with animation. Manga becomes anime, and anime is make it move, and it would be super. Okay. Now, I think we'll stop with the sutra at that point, because we have things to share. And one thing we could share would be, I have two instruments here, and we, up in Buddha Root Farm at our retreat this year, focused on the Medicine Buddha Sutra. And the Medicine Buddha Sutra carries in it the Medicine Buddha mantra. And this is one of the 10 small mantras. The sutra presents the mantra. The mantra was then gathered in with the other small mantras, including the Amitabha mantra, the rebirth mantra, one of the mantras given to Guan Yin, Om Mani Padme Hum, is in there. And Junti Bodhisattva mantra that we do every day at lunch when we jiedzai, Sadonan Samya Samputo Jujunan Dajartonan Juli Juli Junti Sopoho. That's one of the 10. There's a mantra given to Sarasvati, the goddess of culture, intelligence, education, music, and arts. It's called the wholesome goddess mantra. And this Medicine Buddha mantra is there, and it is given, a lot of the power of healing that's in the sutra arises from the mantra. So we have always recited it as Namo Boche Fadi Bisha She Julu Bilioli Bola Po Hola She Dato Jeroye Ola Hudi Samya Sampatoye Dojer Tonan Bishasher, 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 Samojedi Soha. That's the Chinese pronunciation of a Sanskrit mantra. And I had a Sanskrit version of it, which I had heard for a long time, and we brought it forward and talked about it a little bit, and what are mantras like. And then one day before lunch, Fabrizio and I were sitting there and said, why don't we see if we can't put a tune to the Sanskrit? And within about 25 minutes, we had it. It did just boom, boom, boom. There it was. And we used a banjo and a guitar, and people, my goodness, zoom. Did that? There's more. Oh, there's a car full of Dharma friends who've arrived. Good. And so very quickly, everybody started singing along the Medicine Buddha mantra in Sanskrit, and it became one of the highlights of the retreat was this Sanskrit version of the mantra. So what I'm going to do is going to take me just a minute to get the projector going so you all can sing along, because it's in Sanskrit. It's not in our book. Our book is in the Chinese version. So we'll get it set up, and then you can see what you think if you agree. Fab, you want to put these two? This is Maud Evans, and she needs some tuning up. He should be okay. Yeah. Now I've got the mute in there. You might want to either keep it or not keep it. You want to drop the screen, Jerry? I think so, yeah. We'll sit on the side. We'll probably sit on the ledge there. Hey. That's big and bright. That's nice. It looks good, don't you think? I never know what picture the projector is going to select for my desktop. That's amazing. It's never the same. These two kookaburras are not the picture that came up with the projector this morning, yesterday. It's different. Every projector picks its own picture. That's funny. All right. Here is our mantra. Nice and big. Say again. Let's see. Fab, do you want the... Why don't you take that? And if you, let's see here. Yeah, I think so. Maybe if we, yeah, I'll just sit on this side and you sit on that side. And you work that. way you choose. And you might want to double check the lotus guitar. Did you want to say anything by way of introduction, or?
Well, to me, this mantra, as soon as we started chanting it, it was quite a profound experience for me in terms of its connection. Sanskrit is a very different language than English. English is a language of commerce, and it's all about negotiating, whereas Sanskrit is more about surrendering and about just, it's said that the vibrations that the sounds make when you chant in Sanskrit actually vibrate through your body and communicate the message of what the meaning is at a cellular level, so at a DNA level even. So I really found that with this particular mantra. It doesn't happen all the time, but this one, it really resonated with me, and I felt, a very heart-centered kind of healing quality to the mantra, which is quite appropriate for the mantra. So I encourage, if you are chanting along, to don't worry too much about the pronunciation. Just do your best, and really try to drop out of the mind. That's the benefit of Sanskrit, is that we don't necessarily know. We've never made these sounds before in this particular order, and we don't necessarily know what we're chanting. Sometimes it's better even not to know the translation and just start chanting and see how it feels in your own body. Just chant it for a few minutes, as long as you can even. If you want to chant for 30 minutes, and then just sit quietly and experience how the mantra continues to resonate through your body. Up closer. Up. Well. Bhagavate Vaisajya Guru Vaidurya Prabharajaya Tathagataya Arhati Samyak Sambudaya Tadyata
Saje, Vai Saje, Mahavai Saja, Samudgate Svaha. Bhagavate Vaisarya Guru Vaidriya Praparajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tanyata Vai Saje, Vai Saje, Mahavai Saja, Samudgate Svaha. Namo Bhagavate Vaisarya Guru Vaidurya Praparajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Vai Saje, Vai Saje, Mahavai Saja, Samudgate Svaha. Namo Bhagavate Vaisarya Guru Vaidurya Praparajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Vai Saje, Vai Saje, Mahavai Saja, Samudgate Svaha. Vaisarya Guru Vaidurya Praparajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Vai Saje, Vai Saje, Mahavai Saja, Samudgate Svaha. Namo Bhagavate Vaisarya Guru Vaidurya Praparajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Vai Saje, Vai Saje, Mahavai Saja, Samudgate You ever wonder how satisfying it must be to play an instrument that you made with your own hands? All right, thank you, Fab. That is only the second time, or the second place that that mantra has been sounded in Sanskrit, first being Oregon. So let's hope it continues. All right, now some of the other, along with the sounds that were heard in Oregon, we have also some images that were gathered. And let me share with you some of the... Oh, let's start with the... Oh, no, shoot. We'll have to... I don't have my microphone to enlarge the sound of the video, but... Oh, good. We do, in fact. Take it all back. Right. This is Michael Wynn's slides of what he saw. This is the preparation team. There's Matt. Splinters. Darius with his mohawk. The face of a storyteller, huh? Yoga class. Oh yes, we're watching you. Michael just ran out of music. 2 slides from the end. Of course, you know that behind each of these slides there are stories, and one of them is MN concepts. Okay, that's Michael. Okay. Now, one of these great stories, just to tell one of them, we heard last night, which is this picture right here. That one. Gojen has been to Buddha Root Farm. Now, Gojen's on your left. That's the Mei, but everybody knows.
It's 9 o'clock.
Oh, thank you. They work together and as a team, and all these years, Gojen has never been to the waterfall. The waterfall is a place that everybody goes on Thursday. It's a 20-mile drive, and then it's a 2-mile walk in to find Tennessee Falls, or Kentucky Falls? Kentucky Falls. And Gojen told us last night that she has never gone. And she kind of wanted to go, but her kids, Julia, Andrew, and all of her, Tammy, and everyone else said, "Mom, you can't go. It's too far. Think of your body, Mom. You just shouldn't go." But this time, something, the conditions came together, and so she set off for the waterfall. But the farther she walked, the farther it seemed, and her back started to hurt, and she was like, "No, I can't I'm just not meant to go to the falls." And everybody's going, "You should go back. So she'd been walking for almost an hour or more, and she's about to turn back when, who was it? Michael? Michael said, "I'll just run ahead and see how much further it is." So he went running off, and she was like, "No, this is really silly. She had, pains, and she was just about to quit, and somebody said, "I hear something." Hey, what do I hear? And then Michael comes running, and says, "You're here. You've already arrived. It's 5 minutes ahead." So she, against all the odds, continued the other 5 minutes and saw the waterfall, and it was really nice. Is that the punchline, or was there more to it? What did she say? They started reciting the Buddha's name. Oh, that's right. And she was like halfway there, like, "Oh no, I'll recite the Buddha's name and just we'll hope for a miracle, So we decided that it was because she recited the Buddha's name, Amitabha moved the waterfall closer. It was a ganying, it was a response. So there's a story behind this picture, and now she can tell her kids, "You think Mommy isn't up to this, I'll show you." All the pain went away, and she jumped in, So it's like Lourdes, like Fatima, the miracle places in Europe. So how one of these smiles are earned, So Gojen is very proud of that one. That's a good one. Then, let's see here. We have another amazing story right here. Jerry took this one and said he thought this was a story that only Buddhists could tell this story.
Just leave them in there then. Here, you want to see? Here, Jerry, you want to see?
This is Locke's suitcase.
Where?
His only suitcase.
Oh, yeah, I saw
You
it.
see? Where? Oh, yeah.
Behind your...
Where?
Why don't you grab your Kung Fu clothes? That you don't have you cannot replace.
Oh, it's moving.
Oh! Okay.
Yeah, there's a one in there right now.
What's that?
Yeah, there's a
Baby.
inside. You see?
Mouse?
Yeah.
Do you see? Right there. It's a mouse. Furthermore, it's a mother mouse. And what do mother mice do? Give birth to baby mice in the suitcase.
Hey, little buddy. Yeah, I think we should just take all our stuff out and see. Whose bag is this? Mine.
Poor mother's freaking out, right? Samaban, what am I going to do? My kids are there.
Okay, little buddy, come on out.
But do you think he'll be too cold? I think he was just born.
Now, did you see the pink one?
No.
Pink ones? There were some pink ones.
But 2 days ago, one of the ones
Look.
like.
What is that? That's the head of a baby mouse. They're all in there.
The mother chewed through that styrofoam, right?
Mm-hmm.
She might be making a nest. Be careful.
We also get to look into Locke's
Okay.
suitcase, which is...
She's more afraid of you than... Oh, babies. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
definitely
you see
be
that?
careful.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. You got... See, the thing is, if you do anything now, she's going to abandon the babies.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, we should.
The kindest thing you could do is to leave your stuff out here.
Oh my goodness.
Take the babies out somehow.
Yeah.
So what did Locke do?
Cold.
He left the suitcase in the field.
Do you want to put everything back? And just
Yeah.
leave the bag inside?
Well, just don't put anything back in there. Leave everything the way it is now.
It was from the office.
Well, yeah, but right now, the way it is, where it's at, just leave it here.
But the mother.
The mother is in there. That's the mother.
But he's so small. Oh, okay. Okay, then cover it up. Cover it up. Cover it up.
Open it.
So
It's
move
not
on.
intrusive, but
Because the babies, where's she gonna take the babies to?
Yeah, but right now she's still nursing the baby, so we shouldn't disturb them.
Can you wash them?
So Locke's solution, leave the suitcase in the field right where it was. That's
Sorry
it.
about-
What happened?
So we got 3 sweatshirts that was left over from a couple years, just random, people forgot 'em. We covered the top
You got a sweatshirt that was left over from a couple years ago. 3 sweatshirts.
sweatshirts and a sweater.
Yeah.
What we did was we wanted to make sure mommy and the baby is warm. So we took 2 sweatshirts and a sweater and covered the top with it. We left the zipper open on one end for them to have air. And then I went and got lemon cake and sourdough bread and granola snacks, trail mix, sprinkled
Some
it in.
sushi, and she added some, wasabi and a little bit of soy sauce.
So because the baby, the mama was freaking out, was just shivering, and we wanted to make sure that she was, she didn't have to be afraid to have to go out and find food, and she can stay with her babies, and she can nurse, and she can eat.
They put a little Amitabha recitation machine. No, I'm kidding about that part. No. And what happened? By the time this morning, what happened?
We still left it undisturbed. That was left for the last thing to do.
So Locke left his suitcase.
I'm not sure.
Not sure.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask Locke whether he did in the end. So, but we were thinking that she was going to move the babies. That's what hamsters. I didn't say this. Anybody ever have hamsters growing up? Did your hamster mother ever eat her babies? She ran away from him, abandoned him. Deadbeat mom, yeah. Our hamster mom, at one point, because we got too close, she ate the babies. You don't want to see that, and it was yick. And so I was afraid that, I didn't say that. I won't put the idea up. But my guess was, being a field mouse, she was going to move them. Unless it was just too nice. Maybe it was nice, and she got our vibe, and she figured that was pretty good, But how interesting that what the Buddhist solution is, don't bother them. All right, another encounter with nature. Here it is. Now, this one, unfortunately, you can't see the magic solution, but here's the story. We were doing our jiezai at the end of lunch, and this hummingbird rammed his head into the wall of the half can and hit the deck right in front of us. And 3 people, I guess Ian was one of them, saw it and dug him out and took, had him in his hand, in the hand.
Water. They drink sugar water.
Or you could like find like some flowers.
You see, just now the eyes was closed, but now the eyes are open. Should I?
No, let me put on here.
We had an eye drop.
I don't know what kind of flowers
Let it stand so it can relax.
It's okay.
It's not sucking. It's not drinking. Yeah.
It's very, very slow.
I hold it. Oh, you?
Whatever.
I can see whatever I hand.
You know what it would like is like sugar water.
That's what this
You
is.
put sugar in it?
Agave.
Good.
Yeah, it just kept crashing into the ceiling. It couldn't get out of the room.
It's strange seeing a bird acting like, you can fly through that. But
same thing happened 2 years ago.
You hold? I give it to you.
They don't have a good concept of building because I feel like normally if a bird just flies straight upwards, it'll be able to escape wherever it is.
You need to get on the rock with us.
So now it's in Fab's hands. Fab is reciting the Ganesh mantra. Ganesh is the remover of obstacles. That's the divinity with the elephant trunk. So you're reciting Sri Ganesh.
Yeah, in this box.
Fab told us later that hummingbird is his spirit animal. So we're going to make this critter. Now it's starting to show some signs of life. Eyes are
Good luck, and let me know what happens.
Wait. Matt! Matt!
Do me a favor, Jerry, and get the Medicine Master mantra.
What about the Medicine Master mantra? So we bring up a copy of the Medicine Master Buddha mantra and walked over, and the hummingbird spread his wings and flew away.
That was the key.
There it is. So he was either frightened of it or healed by it. One of the you decide what it was. So that's our other critter story, along with Matthew, Catherine Lamb's brother, who just showed up from London and saw a baby bear appear in front of him. Luckily, not connected to the mother bear. And so Matthew had a wonderful, he saw a snake as well. And coming out of downtown London to the Oregon woods to see all this wildlife was quite wonderful. These are photos from Jerry's camera. on the road, stopping at Myers Flat among the redwoods. Saturday, this is the lunch from CTTB. We have arrived. This is Alice's mom. Here's David Rounds, just walking up the hill with Michael. There's Ian. Sandy fixing waffles. Sandy and Tina fixing waffles. Huali. What was this? Was it shalbing? Porridge. There it is. What's that? David is working on the Great Compassion Repentance, Dabe Chan. This is a great photo. Just the composition of that is super. Did anybody see that the property does in fact look like a turtle, even from the air? Turtle Mountain. This is our actual property. That's the topo. This is called a half can, where we take our meals. Yoga. Isn't that lovely? I like this one, the two brothers going up the hill. And this photo has a real atmosphere to it. Like they're stepping off the edge of the world, you know, into the Pure Land. Here is Gonglin and Huali. Look at the animation here. She has a story to tell. Here's Vicky. We accused her of putting Mountain Dew into the pho. It wasn't. She was just trying to cool it off. Or was it Mountain Dew? That's coconut. Ah, magic ingredient. Spike is peeling potatoes with Kevin. What was her name? Lena, right? Is she Christian, or is she just not? She's just not Buddhist. She said, Catholic. She identified herself as non-Buddhist, and she was out in the field another time cutting flowers, and looked up, and a deer was just right across from her, and she looked at the deer, and the deer looked back at her, and then took a couple steps towards her. Not menacing, but just curious. And she said her heart was beating very fast because she had never been that close to a wild animal before. It was a deer, but it was not afraid. And it approached her, and she held the gaze of the deer for a long time. It was the highlight of her entire trip. See this guy? You think they're Tibetan prayer flags? It's laundry. Jerry says he's going to take this to work, and this is going to be his desktop. When he's looking at his computer, he wants to see the window out to the forest from inside his tent. The very deer we're talking about. Oh. Are you erasing all the pictures of you? Is that what you're doing? What's that? Okay. We're back. This was the first one we saw. There's Alan. Okay, aren't those fun? Beautiful images. Okay, and then coming home today, I'll run you through these.
Okay, when we arrived to see the elks, they all turned their backs on us, and we were faced with their butts.
Elk butts, I know. It's not quite as, not as dramatic as you might hope. Which one is Rudolph? We asked, and they said he hadn't clocked in that morning. We were there early. He didn't show up until 9, usually on time. Union hours. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. There. That's a good one. Oh, wow, elk. Here comes another group, Ralph. All right, don't look at them. Where are these from? California. Figures. How do you tell? The cameras. This guy's chewing away. Grass. Too early, you tourists. It's breakfast still. Don't bother. We don't come out till 9. There's one guy here who's got scars, probably from competition. Look at this scar. Somebody got him good with the horn. That's it. So we have, we'll call that, and we have lots of, sure you want to run the screen up? I'll run the screen. There we go. We have lots of video as well, and that will take a little while to process, and we think that we'll start with stories and songs from Buddha Root Farm and kind of let that be our first cut of the experience. And there were wonderful stories told of people's, in many cases, first opportunity to sleep under the stars, first opportunity to sleep in a tent ever, and hearing silence that is available nowhere else. You have to find that silence because there's noise everywhere else until you get into the deep mountains. And also, I think, Kevin, what was it like not having a keyboard under your any like digital readout to look at?
At first, I was actually really desperate.
Desperate.
For
Right.
technology. And then slowly, as the week progressed, I found out that I could live without technology. And it was like incredible. And even if I did have electronics though, the schedule was crammed with things to do, so I probably wouldn't have had time to play with any electronics.
Okay.
And
Yeah. Good. Ian, did you have any like breakdown from going from being able to check your email like every 6 seconds to?
I actually sort of appreciate it. Like sometimes there's some days where I just don't feel like checking my phone or email, and I'll have it off for an entire day because I know like if somebody, I'll keep my phone and computer off for a whole day because I know if somebody really wants to contact me, and I know them well enough, they probably have my house phone number or something. But one thing I wanted to say, so I was happy, like, it was like I had like a built-in excuse to have my phone off for a whole week.
Okay,
but
that's good.
One thing I wanted to say was there were a lot of mosquitoes, like 100 mosquitoes, but I don't think, I got a few in California while we stopped for lunch on the way there, but I didn't get a single mosquito bite in Oregon, so I feel like they're really peaceful there. And
how about that?
Maybe it's because we recited so much.
There you go. I did not get a, knock on wood, a single mosquito bite. Yeah. There were a lot, yeah. I know Oregon is funny, it's like that. I think it rains for 9 months out of the year, so the 3 months everybody's going, oh, it's not raining, let's just like soak up the rays. And they don't bite, and they don't sting, and they don't prick you, and even when the bears show up, they don't chase you, so that's pretty amazing. Okay, what about tomorrow morning? Dashing Pasher, do you have any announcement for us? You want to? So, if people show up, there will be a walk in Tilden Park. We need some cars, yeah. But if there are people in cars, then there will be a walking meditation in Tilden Park, leaving at 6 a.m. Okay, sounds good. Furthermore, so people know what that's all about and have heard we're doing that on Sunday morning. Tuesday night at Tion's Tea Shop, Tea and Dharma will happen. 7:30, 4th Street, Tion's, please come. That's Tuesday night. Thursday night is roundtable in our dining room. So we have a busy week of digesting everything we heard about the Medicine Buddha Sutra and in Oregon and the Avatamsaka Sutra here in Berkeley, and so that will be our. And there's a Guanyin session happening up at City of 10,000 Buddhas. So if anybody would like to have that experience of reciting the name of Guanyin Bodhisattva, this is your chance. Any more announcements? Sandy, did you and Tina know that the nun's car broke down in Eureka? Yeah. They had to get rescued. So. Yeah. I didn't get the details, but their 7-person van stopped in luckily it was in Eureka, so.
They did call us, but they didn't tell us about that.
Yeah, really. Hmm. Apparently so. Yeah. So I think they should all be safely back now, but the car won't be fixed until tomorrow or the next day. Yep. Okay. So let us bow to the Buddhas. And we haven't transferred merit. Let's do that first. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may their minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Namo Da Fang Guang Huai Yin Jin Huai Yin